Hi, welcome to the third tutorial in my Google App Inventor series, and today I'm going to be showing you three things, and it's going to be a fairly quick tutorial. And those three things are going to be using lists, picking random items from the list, and using the clock. And basically what I'm going to show you is how to create a system where every 1 second a picture moves to a set of random X and Y coordinates. And this is going to be using the random function by picking X and Y coordinates from a list at random. So the first thing we need to do to get set up is drag and drop a canvas onto the main screen here and set the width to fill the parent so that you get the whole screen filled. And I'm just going to set the height to 380 pixels, although you can set it to pretty much anything you want. And then the next thing we need to do is basically get the clock component, which is over here on basic, and just drag and drop that on too. And this is a non-visible component because most of it is edited within the blocks editor rather than the visual editor. The only things we can edit in the visual editor is basically whether it's enabled or not, and also the timer interval. And the interval is how often it fires, and basically firing is just the clock going off, sending a message to the rest of the app that basically something has happened. And we want this to happen every 1 second, and this is actually measured in milliseconds, the timer interval, and there are 1,000 milliseconds in a second. So we've got it set to 1,000, so it's going to go off every 1 second, which is fine for our purposes. You can change it to anything you want. And then the next thing we want to do is go on to animation and drag an image sprite onto the canvas, because you cannot put a normal image under the basic palette over here on top of a canvas. You have to actually put an image sprite into the canvas effectively. You can see it's a subcomponent of canvas 1. And then I'm just going to change the source of the picture to the Tech4D logo, the picture I've used in every other tutorial, and we're just going to drag that right into the middle there, and that's the picture that's going to move around every second. So now let's go on to the blocks editor, and the first thing we want to do is basically say that every time the clock fires, so every 1 second, we want the set of X and Y coordinates to be picked randomly from the lists. So we want to say when clock 1 timer, and that basically means every 1 second, every time it fires. We want to go on to image sprite 1, which is our Tech4D logo, and say set image sprite 1 X2, and also set image sprite 1 Y2, and these are the X and Y coordinates of the image sprite, our Tech4D logo. And yeah, it's fairly self-explanatory, X and Y coordinates. And we want to set it to a random item from a list, so we need to go on to lists, then pick random item, and do the same for the Y coordinate. And then you can see here there's an empty socket on the end with list, and we can't actually just simply plug in a list right there. We've got to actually make two lists for the X and Y coordinates, and then we've got to name both of those lists and put that name into this empty socket here. We can't just do it like straight off, just putting the list straight into there. So in order to do this, we basically need to go onto built-in lists and then call make a list, and we're going to make two lists right here, one for our X coordinates and one for our Y coordinates. And now we need to go on to definition and define variable as, and basically this is going to allow us to name the list, and it's as simple as that, basically just naming it. So we're going to call this one X value, and we're going to make another definition for the other list and call this one Y value. So now you can see we've named two lists. They're empty at the moment, and one of them's the X value, one of them's the Y value. So now we need to put some values into the list. We just need to simply go on to math and then number, and basically you can see as soon as you drag one in, it opens up another socket, and you can do this for pretty much as long a list as you want. So we're going to make the first X value 25, I think, and then simply drag in another one to the next slot and make the next one 50 and then 75, I think. And basically these are all the coordinates that are going to be selected randomly, so any one of these could be selected for the X coordinate of the image. And then I'm just going to speed this up by just going straight to like 200. or 107, 150 maybe. There we go. And then for the Y values, we'll just basically do the same. I'm going to start off at 50, I think, then go to 100, 150, and basically any of these could be selected at random in combination to form the X and Y coordinates of the picture. And then we'll just go with like 200. So there we go, we've got two lists and we've named them X value and Y value. So now we just need to simply go on to My Blocks, My Definitions, and you can see here we've got global X value and global Y value, the names of the list that we've just made. We just need to drag those onto the pick random item list socket, and there we go, we're pretty much good to go. So now if we connect to the emulator, bring the emulator right up there, take it over here. And basically, when the clock 1 timer fires every 1 second, we're going to be picking a random item from both of these lists, and those are going to form the X and Y coordinates of the picture. And there are actually various ways to stop the timer going off as soon as you enter the app, but for the moment I'm just going over the basics. And as soon as it finishes loading, you'll see that the logo moves about randomly every 1 second, and it's completely random. The computer is just picking one of these numbers at random and making it the X and Y coordinate. So stay tuned for the next tutorial, and I will catch you later.